Hey guys, I apologize. I made a little mistake with the naming of the function here. Basically, when we click the icon, the edit icon, I called the function item update submit, and that doesn't make any sense. We haven't added the functionality for when we submit the update yet. So this should actually be item edit click. So we're going to change it here, and then we just have to change it right here as well. So item edit click. All right, we'll change this to click edit item, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But just, I think we should change that because it doesn't really make any sense. And we're going to have our item update submit when we actually submit the form, okay, when we go to update. So that's actually what we're going to work on next. So once we have an item and we click this, it goes into the edit state, right? It gets added to the form, and we can change it to, let's say we wanted to change it to 500, and then we click this update button, and then that's what's going to call the item edits, item update submit. All right, so let's go to our event listeners, which are in our app controller. So right here, load event listeners, and we're going to go right here. And this is where we're going to do the actual update item event. So we'll go ahead and copy this. And we're going to grab the update button. So UI selectors update button, and then we're going to call item update submit. Okay. Sorry about that confusion. I just don't think it's a big enough mistake to go back and re-record. It's just just two renaming of the renaming of two functions. So now let's go down under item edit click and create item update submit. So we'll say const item update submit equals function okay. Let's do a console.log, and let's say update. So we'll go and we'll add something here. And let's click the edit click and update, and you can see down here we get update. All right, now one thing I want to fix before we move any further is if we go and we're in this edit state and I click enter, look what happens. It just it hits the add button and it re-adds it. All right, and we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to disable the enter. Okay, so when we fill out this form, we hit enter. We don't want anything to happen because we want to manually click on whatever button we want because there's more than one button here. So to do that, we're going to go back up to the load event listeners, just right here. And we're going to go right under the item add submit. Okay, and we're going to disable submit on enter. So to do this, we're going to say document dot add event listener. We want to listen for a key press, and then call function, pass in our event, and we can check for what key was hit. All right, so we can do that by looking at the key code property. So we can say if e dot key code is equal to 13, which is enter. All right, now some older browsers don't support the key code, so we're going to also say or e dot which equals 13. Okay, so that's going to say if enter was hit, then we want to do e dot prevent default, and then return false. Okay, so we're basically just disabling the enter key. So now if we go and we add something here, if I hit enter, nothing happens. Okay, if I click add meal, it gets added. Now if I want to update it, I put something else in here, I hit enter, nothing happens. I have to manually hit update, which is what I want. All right, so now let's go back down to our update. We'll get rid of this console log. We want to get the item input. So remember, we already have a controller, a UI controller function. At least we should. Where is it? Right here, get item input. So we can actually use that. We don't have to recreate it. So let's go back down to our update. And let's say get item input. So we're going to create a variable called input. We're going to set it equal to UI controller dot get item input. All right, then we want to, let's say, update item. So again, we'll create a variable. We'll call it updated item. Set it to the item controller. And we're going to have a method called update item there. And we're going to pass in the input.name and the input.calories, which came from the form. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this update item to our item controller. So we'll go all the way up. Let's go right under, we'll go under the get item by ID and say update item function. And that's going to take in the name and calories. Now, first thing I want to do is turn the calories to a number because it's coming from the form. So we'll say calories to number. So we want to run it through parse int. Okay. Once we do that, we're going to basically do the same thing we did right here and get item by ID. We're going to do a found. Well, the same idea. We're going to do something different within the for each, but we need to create a variable called found, set it to null, and then we're going to loop through our items. Say item, and let's see, we're going to say if the item.id is equal to the data.currentItem ID, because remember, once we hit that edit button right there, that gets put into the current item. So if that matches, then we want to set the item.name equal to the name that's passed in right here. We also want to set the item.calories equal to calories. And then we want to set found equal to the item itself, and then just return found, just like we did above. Okay. So that'll update it in the data structure, not in the UI, in the data structure. All right, and we can actually check that by using the log data. So let's say steak 500. Okay, so steak 500, let's hit edit. Let's change it to 700, hit update. Okay, nothing happened, but if we go and we look at the item controller dot log data, and we take a look at the items, let's look at steak, and you'll see calories 700. So it has been updated in the data structure. Now we're returning it. Okay, so we're returning, where is it? Right here. We're returning the updated item. So let's go back down to item update submit, and it's getting put into this variable. All right, and now what we want to do is basically update the UI. So let's call UI controller dot update list item, and let's pass in the updated item. All right, we'll go up to our UI controller. Let's see, I'm losing my voice. So we're going to go under the add list item and say update, update list item. And that takes in the updated item. Actually, we'll just say item. Okay, so what we need to do here is, let's first of all create a variable called list items, and we now want to get the list items from the DOM. So we're going to say document dot, and we're going to use query selector all. Okay, and we want all the list items. So I don't think we have, let's see, so list items is going to be all the LIs, and we don't have that in our selectors. So let's put that right here. We'll say list items, which is going to be ID item dash list and then LI. Okay, so all the LIs. Let's put a comma there as well. All right, so we'll go back down to, let's see, where were we? Right here. So query selector all UI selectors dot list items. So we're putting that into that list items variable. Now what we want to do is that gives us a node list, okay? And we need to loop through these nodes, and we can't use a for each on a node list, so we need to basically convert it into an array. So let's say turn node list into array, and that's really easy. All we have to do is say list items equals array dot from, and then pass in list items. Okay, so now we can basically do whatever we want, whatever we would do with an array. So let's loop through. Let's say list items dot for each function, and let's see, we're going to say list item, and we want to, let's create a variable called item ID. We're going to set that to the list item dot get attribute, because we want to get the ID. And let's see, then what we'll do is we'll do an if statement, and we'll say if the item ID is equal to, and then a template string, and we'll say item dash, and then we'll put a variable in here which will be item dot ID. All right, so if that's true, then we know that's the one that we want to actually update. All right, so in here we're going to say document dot query selector, and we want to select the one second. Yeah, we want to select the ID of whatever, item-0 or item-1, whatever the correct one is, and we can get that by putting in a template string here and saying hash and then a variable or hash item. No, we can put, yeah, we can just put item ID actually, like that, because we have the item ID right here. All right, so we want to get that and then put .inner HTML equals, and then let's just copy, let's see, yeah, we'll copy this right here. Put that inside of a template string like that. And yeah, so that should do it actually. So let's save that and hope this works. So we'll say steak 500, cake 700, and I don't know, beans 200. Okay, so let's say we want to edit cake. So we'll hit the edit. Let's change it to 800, and we'll say, I don't know, we'll say cakes and hit update. All right, so we have an error here. Update list item is not a function. Okay, so I have update item here, and I believe we're calling update list item down here. Yeah, we're calling update list item, so let's change that. The crappy thing is we have to start all over every time we reload. So we'll just do 2, I guess. We'll say cake and edit. We'll say cakes, 2 cakes, 1200, update, and there we go. So cakes 1200. Okay, so it updated the correct one. Now notice the calories didn't update, so all we should have to do now is the same thing we did when we added. Okay, so in item add submit, we did these two. We got the total calories, and then we updated the UI. So let's copy that. Let's see. Let's also clear. We're also going to clear the input and the edit state. Actually, we clear the edit state, it actually calls clear input, so we don't need that separately. So let's just grab these two, go down to our update, paste that in, and then we're going to say UI controller dot clear edit state. Okay, so let's try it now. So let's see, steak. What else? Say chicken. All right. So let's pay attention to the calories here. So let's say chicken is 400. Let's edit it. Let's change it to 600. So once we update this, the calories should then go up to 1700. So let's hit update, and there we go, 1700. All right, so it's now calculating the calories. When we update, it's also clearing out the edit state. And we can go ahead and add something else. And that gets added to the calories. All right, so this is really starting to come together. So I think in the next video, what we'll work on is delete. Okay, we want to be able to click the edit icon and delete a mail. We also want to be able to clear this out without doing anything if we want by clicking back.